Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Sarah and this is my granny era. Tonight I'm out on my porch. It's pretty warm. These last few days has been super warm. So I thought I'd sit out here and make this video for you guys. I have actually been in bed for almost a week now. I've been super sick and super weak, and so I was like, I'm gonna get out of bed, I'm gonna go get some fresh air and make a video for these guys. But my voice is very gravelly, so I appreciate you putting up with that, and I will try not to have too many fever-induced rambles as we go through these books. All right, so the first big reading event that I am taking part in is Febregency, and I have actually just made a whole video on all of those picks, along with some recommendations. You guys want to check that out. The second reading event that I'm going to participate in is Holmes is Where the Heart Is. This will be my first year doing that. I have not read a whole lot of Sherlock Holmes. The only thing I read was Hound of the Baskervilles. I read that in December. But besides that, like, I don't know the fandom. I don't know all the stuff, right? I don't know the story. So I'm a newbie. I found out about this reading event on Randy Ray's channel, The Literate Texan. I will link him down in the description, but he's got a whole array of co-hosts you guys can check out. And so I've got 3 picks for that. The first one I ordered, A Study in Scarlet. From what I understand, this is the first book. I hope so. Please tell me it is. The back of it says that he introduces the characters of Watson and Holmes, so I'm gonna believe that it is. So I'm gonna read through that short little mystery story. The second book that I have here comes from my TBR. This I've had on my TBR for a while. This is a biography of Conan Doyle, called The Adventures of Arthur Conan Doyle by Russell Miller. I don't really know anything at all about Conan Doyle other than what his character did on the Murdoch Mysteries. Don't know if you guys are familiar with that. It's like a Canadian detective show, but he was a regular character, Conan Doyle was, for the first few seasons, and they made him out to be kind of like a super spiritualist kind of whack job. So I don't know if that's the case or if that's very fair. We'll find out from this biography. And then I just happened to be in a Goodwill and turned my head and saw this, the Sherlockian. This Goodwill does not have very many books at all, so to find something that I could actually use for this reading event was pretty cool. This is by Graham Moore, and it's a fictional story of supposedly a diary went missing that belonged to Holmes, or sorry, that belonged to Conan Doyle. And the diary contained all the reasons why he killed off Sherlock Holmes. So anyway, people had a lot of questions. People were really mad about it. And so in this fictional story, he wrote a diary and put all of his reasons in the diary, and the diary went missing. And so then now present day, 2010, I think it is, a couple of fans decide that they're gonna go look for the diary, but there's also like a murder mystery involved in the whole thing, and so that should be an interesting read too. I think I will wait though until I've read the other 2, just so I'm not like confusing fact and fiction, right? I'll pick up on a lot of stuff too, I think, if I've read the biography first. All right, and then another reading event I'm going to do in February. This is the Arabian Nights Tales of 1001 Nights reading event that starts this month, started on February 1st, and goes through June of 2026. So it's like a year and a half. This one I also found out about on Randy Ray's channel, and but he has a bunch of co-hosts too, right? So just check him out. I'll put a link down there for Randy Ray for you. What we're doing, there's a schedule, and you can find the schedule on the co-hosts videos on the subject, right, and down in their description boxes. And so each month we're reading a certain number of nights, which is basically the chapters, the different stories in here. So for February, we're reading the first 22 nights. So you gotta get on it. And I kind of forgot. And we're on February 2nd. So tonight I'm gonna read some, at least one night. So I don't know much about the history of Arabian Nights at all, but what I understand is that there is a king who every night he sleeps with a virgin and then he kills her. And one night, I guess, really creative virgin shows up, and she, I guess, convinces him, hey, I'm going to tell you a story. If I tell you a story, then you promise not to kill me tonight. And he's like, okay, sure, fine. So she tells him a story night after night after night after night, and this is how she's preserving her life. And so I guess she tells him stories for 1001 nights. I don't know what happens after that. Don't tell me. But I'm just saying, for this guy, like, big crazy jerk has to be, but he shouldn't let this girl go, right? Because that's like a gold mine right there of intelligence and creativity. So, but apparently this is where we get like the stories of Aladdin and Sinbad and what else, like Ali Baba and the 40 Thieves. So I'm gonna assume that a lot of these are gonna be familiar, or maybe not, I don't know. But it'll be interesting to see how many stories I'm familiar with and didn't realize that they came from the 1001 Nights. So looking forward to that. All right, and then the next reading event, I'm doing a lot of reading events this month. I didn't really realize it until I started preparing for this, but I've been participating in a couple of events that Anne at In Search of Wonder is doing. So the first one is Jane Austen's birthday celebration. So this year Jane Austen turns 250 years old. And so she's got one or two books each month that we can read from. This month, the read is Sense and Sensibility by Jane Austen. And I just actually read Sense and Sensibility last year. I probably read it, I don't know, maybe like 5 or 6 times. And I did just read it last year, but it's a quick read, so I'll probably read it again. And then the other reading event that Anne is doing is a Reading the Classics Challenge, which has like some prompts and some like scavenger hunt words and challenges and fun stuff like that. But this month's prompt is to read a Gothic novel. So my Febregency video, I talk all about the different Gothic books that I plan to read from the Regency era. And then she has scavenger hunt words. So the words for February that you're supposed to find within your Gothic novel are nightmare, a skeleton, and a castle. So I think Castle of Otranto, actually, by Horace Walpole. I think that probably fulfills all of those, which will be a reread for me, but I probably should reread it because I wasn't very nice in my review last time. I will be doing something there with that one. And then the challenge for the Reading the Classics February is to read like a booktuber. And so you kind of have to define what that means to you, to read like a booktuber. Read something that a booktuber recommends, or maybe like start annotating if you haven't, and the certain booktuber that you watch annotates in a certain way, like annotate like them for a certain book or whatever, just like for a little bit of time, act like your favorite booktuber. So for this one, I am basically just gonna read in the way that Randy Ray from Literate Texan, as well as Mark from Book Time with Elvis, the way that they read, because they're both participating in the Holmes is Where the Heart Is and the Arabian Nights read-alongs. So I'm reading like them this month, especially with the Holmes, because I don't know, I haven't really had a desire to pick up anything by Conan Doyle, but I kind of am excited too. I feel like I'm gonna enjoy those. So that's my challenge accepted there. All right, and then the final reading event that I'm participating in for February is my own, and that is the Classic Children's Reading event, read along. And we are doing this for our group read, The Prince and the Pauper by Mark Twain. That is our read for this month, and I am looking forward to this. So I have always had this thing against Mark Twain because he said mean stuff about Jane Austen, but now I've read Jane Austen's letters, and I think that she was much more cruel than he probably could have been. So I'm maybe more on his side now in this imaginary feud that is taking place only in my mind. Anyway, I think I'm going to enjoy Prince and the Pauper. I am familiar with this story only through the Leonardo DiCaprio movie, Man in the Iron Mask from the 90s, which I remember enjoying, but I was also 18 and I don't remember much of it at all. And then also the Barbie Princess and the Pauper, which I have watched ad nauseum over the last 25 years and still love it so much. I was singing the little jingle, but I'm sick. But anyway, we'll see how those stories match up. And then, if you're not aware, in the last like 10 years or so, they came out with Princess and the Pop Star. That takes the whole thing to a whole new level. So we're gonna see what the origin is of all those stories here by reading Mark Twain. and I'll get back to you. So go ahead and join us with that if you are interested. We do have a Discord discussion. You guys can find that in my description box where we talk about the book and other stuff. It's just my personal Discord where, you know, there's all kinds of different things on there and relating to my channel. So please join us there and we'll discuss Prince and the Pauper. All right, so that is everything that I have plans on reading this month. What I am currently reading is The Last Man by Mary Shelley. So this is one that I had picked out for Febregency. I started this the night before last, and I'm only on page 128. It is slow going, but I'm kind of proud of myself because this is probably like one of the hardest books I've ever read and understood. When last I described Mary Shelley's writing, I described it as juvenile. I was talking about Frankenstein, and I have to take that back, right? People grow up, and how cool is it to watch someone who did it a couple hundred years ago? This is definitely a more grown-up voice and a sorrowful, serious voice. And also, it's like she took the thesaurus and just picked out all of the biggest, most bloated words and decided to use them. Like, what's the synonym for and, right? Like, there's a lot of really big, difficult words. And so I'm feeling pretty good about myself because I'm tracking here. And there's a lot of allusion to classical literature, which just drives home the point so much that we just need to keep reading those old books. We cannot cut them out of education. If your schools aren't teaching them to your kids, teach it to them when you are at home, because there's so much about just the world in general, but, you know, literature, things that we say, I mean, just so many of our phrases, so much of a Western world revolves around things from classical literature that we just don't realize how much. And so this book is really driving home that point, right? Because it just alludes to things left and right. And I'm like, okay, I kind of get that one. Okay, I don't know when that one. Oh yeah, I remember that one. And, you know, just kind of scrambling and realizing my own shortcomings when it comes to that. And I actually have a remedy for that, which I am still preparing, still concocting, but I will get back to you guys about my plans for kind of my own little self-education experiment project thing that's going to go on for a while. But again, yeah, just if you're not yourself educated in the classics, not the classics, but not like, you know, Charlotte Bronte, Jane Austen classics, but like the classical classics, ancient things from the Greeks and the Romans, and things that they were thinking about, talking about, and the stories that they were telling. Get yourself educated, because that is where so much of Western literature comes from, and so much of things that we say is just based on that. It's just so much of how we live every day in our society is based on a lot of that. So it's good stuff to know. All right, I hope you guys are having a great day. I will see you soon. Bye-bye.